Now 6 o'clock on the dot, and I'm calling the Economic Development Committee meeting for the town of Monmouth to order. And we have an agenda today that starts with the review and approval of the minutes from September 15. We want to take a moment just to take a look at this. It was a very thick packet, lots of reading to do.
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes. September 15th.
Second. All right, so we have Doug making a motion to approve and a second from Garrett. All those in favor? All right, that motion passes. And now we move on to our second item on our, third item on our agenda, which is the budget planning. And I understand we have a presentation from the Monmouth Fire Department.
You're welcome to stay where you are, come up to the table. We have.
Yeah, if you come up to the lectern, then all the many people who will be reviewing this video at some point in the future and fine tooth combing it will appreciate knowing who exactly is speaking.
I think many of you know, Chief Roy, the Monmouth Fire Department.
Good to see you, Chief.
Former member of this committee. It's great to see you guys. Hopefully, you received copies of our proposal for the UTV for the fire department that was sent to Reagan. Well, it was actually sent to Justin on the board. Yes, he's actually getting on tonight's agenda. So I'll be had an opportunity to look over some of that material and the justification letter that was part of that proposal. So it just kind of gives you an overview of what we're looking to do. So just a little history for some of you that may not know this. Appreciate several of the firefighters for being here in support of this. Appreciate it. We don't always get people coming to this committee and take up firsthand, so it's kind of nice to have some citizens here from the town of Monmouth. So back on December 12th, I received an email from Reagan, Lara Shaw, and she basically just brought me up to speed with the updated TIF district. And part of that included a line item about firefighting equipment that your committee had worked on updating that district language. And part of it included firefighter equipment. And, as it falls into protecting the district. And was informed at the time that there could be as much as $400,000 available for the life of the TIF funds, district, or however you want to use the language. That's not what's available currently, but over the life of it. But it was my understanding there may be as much as 100,000 currently available in that line item. Call it a pocket. And I understand that it's not etched in stone, or however, it's up to the town and how they want to utilize those funds. I get all that, but I just felt that this was an opportunity for the fire department to purchase some new equipment that we may not be able to purchase in our regular budget. And that is a UTV to be utilized for forestry firefighting. Rescue on off-road rescues such as either ice rescues or trail rescues, be snowmobile or hikers. Certainly if the town passes an ATV trail system approval, we could have more activity out on the trails. So we felt that we probably should start looking into getting a piece of equipment that could aid us in accessing those off-road areas. But certainly forestry firefighting. We've seen an increase in forest fires in the past few years, and it's going to get worse in the next couple of years with all the slash that's on the ground from the past couple of years of storms that have brought down trees. Certainly the current drought that we're in. We know that today with the rain, but certainly forest fires is going to be the danger going forward. So this UTV would be a specialized piece of equipment that could aid in the firefighters being able to access these off-road locations rather than do it on foot or relying on mutual aid towns that could be 15, 20, 30 minutes away, responding with their equipment, which they've done recently, just this past year. You saw that in my justification letter, a few fires we had this past spring. So I brought it to the Board of Selectmen's attention a couple meetings back, maybe even 2 months ago, just to kind of plant the seed that we were interested in pursuing this. So it was more of just an informational thing for the board. And then the town manager shared with me that we should present it to you guys first, because you're kind of the gate for overseeing the TIF district and the TIF funds and how they're utilized or distributed. So this is kind of our first step, I guess, in officially bringing it to your attention. Our request to purchase the UTV. Deputy Chief Paul is here tonight. He could answer any questions on the specialized equipment because he did the actual quotes as far as the equipment breakdown, what that UTV would be equipped with. And I think it was an estimate of about $84,000. And it seems high, but it's not. You talk about a 1500 series ATV with a full-size enclosed cab with a skid unit on the back. It's going to have a portable tank. It's going to have a pump. It's going to have a litter area where we put a Stokes basket to rescue people. Lights. This will have a siren on it, but it will have certainly scene lights and help light in the area. And then the trailer to haul it. So you know, it all adds up. And my understanding that by utilizing TIF funds, you know, that wouldn't be a burden on the taxpayers, because that's money that's already been allocated through, you know, the TIF fund district, CMP project, I guess. I don't know what you call it, but.
Well, CMP is a taxpayer. It wouldn't impact the tax base.
Okay.
But CMP is a taxpayer, and these are public funds that are collected on behalf of public projects.
But we wouldn't be seeking additional funds through the taxpayers, I guess is what I meant to say.
No, we wouldn't. We would simply be expending money, taxpayer money on this and not other things.
Okay. Which I understand, you know, you probably have something to share or say about that. You did at the last meeting at the Board of Selectmen, such as the sidewalk project. We can certainly give you the floor to do that.
Sure.
Is there any questions for me as far as a proposal or anything about the equipment? I know there's been some comments from other people in the public that said, well, could you find something less expensive? You know, certainly you could probably go and find a used ATV, but you're not going to get the capacity, weight capacity that this particular model has for carrying not just our equipment, carrying our firefighters. Certainly, if we have to rescue a victim, really need to have that larger capacity piece of equipment, you know, in order to get in there and be able to haul stuff out. We've seen other fire departments with smaller units and they have breakdowns all the time, or they have a lot of limitations on what they can do.
Stuff gets stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any specific questions for me or anything about the equipment? Or turn it back to you for any.
I have a couple.
Yeah, please.
What are we talking in terms of like useful life of this?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that there's not going to be a high usage for it. You know, when I look at other departments, you know, they go out on a dozen calls a year. I would think that's low hours, you know, on the engine and mileage on the vehicle. So I would like to see that we could get, you know, potentially 20+ years out of it. One big question came up would be how would we house it? Because we currently have a small station with no current space for it. So we're proposing a couple of things. One would be Highmore Farm housed our antique engine in the past. One of our assistant chiefs works at the farm, and they graciously said we could utilize that same garage to store it, have 24/7 access. Another suggestion, which I haven't approached Chief Farland yet, would be to utilize one of their 2 days at the police station. I don't think it would fit at the North Station where our boat is, but a third option would be perhaps to maybe get like a cover it, and put maybe the boat, or well, actually, no, we wouldn't even be able to get the ATV with the trailer.
Well, the trailer is too long to fit where the boat is. Behind engine 86, I already measured that out.
We could probably do an inexpensive, either cover it or addition, maybe like a lean-to addition, you know, that's secure, up at the North Station. Probably be the best fit. But we could do temporary storage like at Highmore, or perhaps if police chief could let us temporarily utilize it, so we could get something constructed at the north.
Well, yeah, I got a few.
Please.
I don't want to dominate if there's any other questions, but
Yeah.
what are we looking at in terms of like additional maintenance or anything like that? Is that gonna be in the normal budget that would be kind of transferred over or?
No, we would have to schedule something in our budget for R&M for just our apparatus. It would be another piece of equipment. Similar to our boat, we have very low maintenance on our boat. ATV, you know, I could just see, you know, doing an annual maintenance, whether we contract with somebody, you know, like Wilson's Recreation, to do an annual service of it. Certainly anything pump related, we could have Northeast Apparatus. They've worked on other apparatus and similar pieces of equipment. But I would think it'd be much lower than, you know, like our apparatus. I mean, our pumpers, high maintenance. This would be low maintenance. So it'd be a relatively low cost. And it would be brand new. And correct me, what's the warranty on it?
I think it's a couple of years on the ATV.
Pumps and stuff have separate.
Yeah, it's because of different manufacturer. Tank on there has a lifetime warranty, the Foley tank. We've got a bunch of them around the state. We haven't had a failure yet.
Anything else good?
Yeah, so in terms of how this compares to Winthrop's size and specs, can you kind of?
Be slightly larger than Winthrop's. I don't know if is theirs 1,000 model or? I know this one's.
Yeah, it's a smaller model. The reason we went to this is, again, we get the payload. Polaris, they actually have a division now called Polaris Defense, where they cranked up to 1500s to start building them for military alarm and fire rescue. They basically got a 50% increase in the payload in the bed. So you got a 1,500 pound, most everything else is 1,000. You put that skid in a 1,000 pound unit. And I mean, that skid loaded with water is about 950 pounds. So if you're gonna put a patient or anything else on the back, you're overloaded.
And this would have the tracks kit, so it could be used 365 days a year versus the we found like with the fire down on the tracks, some of the ATVs that had tires were getting buried or mired in that soft soil or mud. Whereas the ones like Winthrop has their tracks, and I think Savatus has tracks on theirs. They're able to just go right through that, very little damage to the environment, you know, ground conditions. So it can be utilized on snow, ice, or regular ground. It can be used right on pavement too.
So look at the response time in this letter, which was 15 to 20 minutes. What would be the change in response time or enhanced with this one?
Well, having it right in town, we could have a firefighter respond as soon as we're towing, similar to our boat response. If we have a water rescue, they go right to the North Station, hitch up the boat, and they're off. If this was stored at Highmore Farm, our assistant chief could grab it, or one of our other firefighters that's close by, usually within a 1 or 2 minute response time to Highmore. We're hitching up and going, and we could have this piece of equipment on scene within 5-10 minutes, whereas 15 to 20 for Winthrop or there's I know Sebastian, Litchfield, Leeds, Green. I don't think Wales has one. Oh, Wales has one now?
Yeah, they got one from the solar farm on
That's right.
Junction Road.
So pretty much every town that we respond mutually to has one. So we're able to call them in for resources, and it's just the delay in time getting them to the scene. In that letter, we talked about the fire down by the tracks around 7-8 and he was really close, probably within 10-15 minutes of the fire getting up into the old orchard and threatening 2 or 3 houses. We were just fortunate that one, we had a helicopter, but 2, we had several UTVs that responded. And perhaps if we would have had ours, it might not have been 7 acres, maybe we're only 1 or 2 acres. And, we could have got a jump on it much sooner. Time is of the essence when it comes to fires.
How often are the other towns using them? You know?
I don't, I just know from mutual aid calls when we go for forest fires, see them everywhere. Every town's got them. I should say most towns got them. Certainly in our district or our mutual aid region, several departments have them.
I can totally see the need for this, and especially in terms of the direction that we're headed with
Trails.
trails and encouraging people to be outside. My big concern is some of the other things that are in the pipeline right now that we've sort of committed beyond turning back. And then just my understanding of the trail system that's also potentially in the pipeline. I don't even know if it's in the pipeline because a grant request is pending, and I'm feeling good about it, but we don't know. Even that particular project would be not 2026, it'd be 2027 before, someone would take the first step on that trail. We've got other trails being built around town that are somewhat less formal, but not as substantially used. So why this year? Why not next year?
Well, one main reason was the threat of forest fires, and it's a lot of work for our firefighters to go hiking into some of these remote areas. And the sooner we get the equipment, the less the chance of us having injuries or whatever, having more substantial fires. It's like I said, both Ed and I, we sat at a forestry meeting last year or the year before, but up in Farmington, and they said 2 years ago, those couple storms we had in December, November, December, even the October one from a few years back, it's unbelievable the amount of down trees and slash that's in the woods. And it takes like 3 or 4 years for that to really dry out, really become a threat for forest fires. So we're in that year now. Probably next year will be even worse. So I think the need's there, and certainly the amount of traction that the town is getting for pushing or promoting, I should say, the outdoor activities and recreation, the Recent Trails Committee and all the trails that are being seeked and grants written, there's just going to be more people out in the woods, and to expect us to just go hike a mile into the woods. I mean, we practice it, we train for it. We did it up at where it was one of the bird sanctuary. Yeah, bird sanctuary.
They let you in there?
But just hiking out with, it takes 4 to 6 people, and you gotta have 2 or 3 groups, to take turns, and just to have an ATV go in and bring somebody out would be so much easier. Less chance for injury. You know, certainly you can wait another year, but I don't know that economically our town's gonna be any different or better a year from now. I just felt that if the monies are there and they're available, and this fits the bill, as far as, the what those funds could be used for. Thought it was a good opportunity to jump in, but quite frankly, I can put it in my budget, you know, for a TIF, not a TIF, a capital improvement, plan. But I just think it's gonna get next, you know, with the amount of stuff that's going on with the town and certainly with the revaluation, I think there's gonna be a lot of townspeople that may not support any type of increase in our regular operating budget. I thought this was an opportunity for us to do that so that maybe it'd be less burden.
Well, and I think, you know, every member of the fire department is either a taxpayer or pays rent to a taxpayer. And we all get that. I mean, we all got our bills. People, I mean, this is like the number one message that, you know, I've tried to pay attention to since 2016 is that a property tax is a tax that has no basis on how much you can afford to pay or what your income is. Right? They call it an unrealized capital gains tax. So you're paying on capital gains that you haven't even enjoyed because you own the property, you haven't sold the property. So, you know, anyone who's on fixed income, and you know, you were there at the meeting. I'm not sure if that was the meeting where we had 40 taxpayers sitting in the audience, or it was the one where we had 80 taxpayers sitting in the audience who were all very upset about receiving their property evaluation and then later receiving their property tax bill and then later receiving, you know, coming to a meeting where we said, okay, we'll give you a break. We'll just, if you want to be late until December without penalty. It's a heavy burden. And it's not the fire department's fault. I'm a big fan of the fire department. The fire department has saved my butt more than once. And we have always made a commitment to the fire department to make sure that you folks are well equipped and as safe as you possibly can be. Because we don't want people hurt. And I know that your you know, majority of your compensation is through your good graces to our community.
Well, it's great to hear that, Ken. So we appreciate your support in this.
Absolutely. Well, my only concern is, you know, this is a fixed sum game. This is, you know, if it's not this piece of the pie, it's some other piece of the pie. And this year is a tough year in Monmouth because people are watching every last nickel. And so I'm not sure that this is the right year for this. I mean, I carry water on my UTV on the island. I get it. It's heavy stuff. It's sloshing around in the back. It's not an easy thing to do. The question though is like, is there a better time given that we're accumulating funds in the TIF account right now in anticipation of the sidewalk project that we know is already in the pipeline and that we're going to be asked for, we don't even know what it is yet, but millions of dollars probably. And we know we're going to need to borrow some to be able to afford to pay that bill. And so the question is, how much of a down payment do we show up with? Right? That's.
So along those lines, that was a question I had for you guys.
Yes.
If there's a line item that's specified for allowable expenditures, you know, to include the cost of public safety improvements, specifically firefighter equipment, apparatus, and vehicles related to the establishment of TIF district, if that is language or a bucket.
Yep.
And there's several of those buckets. Town have the authority to take all those buckets, put it into one item, even though they're kind of earmarked, and utilize it for something such as a big project like the sidewalks.
Yeah.
So you guys have that flexibility.
We have the flexibility. In fact, we have the flexibility. I mean, there could be a vote by the select board on Wednesday night to appropriate the money. We don't even have to go to the voters to ask them.
Yes, as long as it is within the line item that has been approved. And like you said, you have a $400,000 ceiling.
Right.
There's a ceiling for that, for all of the line items. So as long as it's within that budget, that's correct. We have that, or they have that control at the select board level.
Yeah, so, I mean, really, it's not a matter of wanting to do it. It's a matter of, do we need to do it right now? And I hear you. I mean, I'm still cleaning up from those 2 storms. I still have, you know, a dozen trees that are sitting on the floor of the woods on shore. That, you know,
I just think, kicking the can down another year, nothing's gonna change, and it's gonna be that much harder to get you guys to approve. If you know, within a year, you gotta come up and pay for another bill, substantial bill within the town. I just don't think it's ever gonna be a good enough time, and we feel that there's a need based on the increase in forest fire potential and increase in trail usage, and is the potential risk for additional calls that we're gonna be asked for tasks to perform. So if you were to not approve it tonight, and I don't know the process, then if you guys could vote on this tonight, but if you
we don't have to,
if
but
it's turned down, then my next step is I will bring it to the budget cycle to try to put it into the regular CIP. Whether that gets approved or disapproved, I still feel passionate that there's a need for it.
Does this, so kind of reading through all this, does this offer up any savings for the department? I understand the increase in risk and, but kind of day-to-day savings that you're doing now, are you reimbursing people when we borrow equipment? Are there savings there? Just kind of trying to find out.
There's not gonna be savings per se. If anything, it's gonna be a slight increase, for maintenance. The savings, the potential savings, every individual in this room, or the ones that are not here, I have a 39-person roster, and there's gonna be potential risk for injuries. If we just continue going down that road of, hiking in on foot, doing the old school firefighting. This piece of equipment definitely would assist us and aid us in being more efficient in rescues or fire protection for the town, certainly reducing the risk of injury to our firefighters. It just takes one injury, and then this $80,000 is up, compared to the medical costs or lifetime injuries. But that's what ifs. I'm not gonna sit here and we'll go down that road, but there's always that risk. Yep.
any questions from Chairman Ludwig?
I have none. I think it's just, would be a piece of valuable equipment that you would use to, for various situations that would help these people who go out and do things to keep people and property safe. And I think that doing it now will keep us from having to deal with it when we do our budget. Keep it off the capital. And I know they need it, as do other towns.
So just to clarify the process, and Reagan, correct me if I'm saying something not exactly right. We could put it up for a vote tonight, or we could table it and think about it, sleep on it. Even if it came up for a vote, it would simply be either it's up or down. It's a recommendation to the select board. And then the select board would take the matter up at their next agenda meeting. That would not be Wednesday night. If we voted on it tonight, it would have to appear on an agenda and then And then the select board would make a decision. And they can either take our recommendations or not. So this is just simply the first step on that.
And what I would say is that this committee has been charged in the last couple of years with coming up with an actual TIF budget to go along with the municipal budget every year. And so we don't have all of the information of what's been spent for this fiscal or for last fiscal year yet, in terms of where our budget landed. I think it would be really important to kind of look at what we actually spent out of TIF funds last year, and then proposing the recommendation, putting this together and proposing a budget for next year. This obviously wasn't in the budget for fiscal year 26.
Yeah.
So that's just keeping that in mind, how this committee, we haven't had someone come and request an expenditure that hasn't been part of it, right, that hasn't been part of the budget. So that's just,
And we're fine with that.
Yeah.
We would be fine with, I think, so there's two things to be concerned. One is, obviously, we have an estimate that's only good till December 31st.
15.
Or this, what is it? December 15th. So obviously, we don't purchase it before then we stand the risk of a slight increase. We have to price it out again next year. What that could be, I don't know. If it's anything like apparatus, could be 10%, 20% more, who knows? And then, so I think we would be fine. We're just looking for your approval to take the next step and have the board vote on it. And if so, we're fine, doing it in next year's budget, but it'd be nice to get maybe, I don't know if we can get an approval to at least start speccing it out for next year's prices, or I know we can't order anything till the monies are freed up, but it would just be nice to get it for like next summer, or July 1st and have it ready, rather than wait for July 1st and then have to go through the whole, we gotta go get another, estimate, and it takes time to like construct these things and then add all the equipment. Ed knows he's in the industry, it could be 6 months to a year.
You're probably 4 to 6 months out by the time you order anything nowadays. And the track kit, when that comes in, that has to get installed, because that comes separately. We got a vendor in the Midwest that built tracks for this beefed up system that'll take the higher torque from the engine, so they won't come ripping off like some of the lightweight tracks do.
I think that's reasonable, not expected. Yeah, we want to check on Monday. Next year's fine, but you just kind of want to go through the approval process and hopefully, get days starting here, hopefully with the board of selectmen, and then, move on to whatever the next budget cycle, whatever we're gonna do, to make it part of the next budget cycle. So hopefully we got it shovel ready for, next summer. I think that's reasonable.
Other questions, other discussion? Other comments from our audience?
It's certainly a piece of equipment. It's got a multitude of uses. And we've been out and rescued people off the ice. Winter time, you go take a Stokes basket, put a 200-pound person on that thing and drag them across the ice. That is labor intensive work. In wartime, it takes you to get somebody off the ice, the longer it takes them to get good medical care. And whether they get loaded in an ambulance or picked up in a life flight helicopter. Time is of the essence in those type of situations. We've been out every winter. We do a training evolution out on the snowmobile trails. We had snowmobile crashes.
We've had pressures.
We got called mutual aid to Reedfield to assist snow will crash on the ice.
Right.
The longer we wait, the more it's gonna cost.
Yeah.
Boy, prices are going these days, we wait another year and a half, it's gonna be a lot more.
Well, that's exactly why our property tax bills are going up the way they are.
think if you could take perspective for a moment, and pretend you're a drone flying over this area where all the great part water and woodlots. As a member of the Snowmobile Club, we have in the vicinity, give or take 40 miles of trails, just that alone. We're not even talking about the new trail systems that are proposed that be added. And when you think about lakes that are frozen, and the fact that you can travel across them when they're frozen bodies of water, that adds a lot of miles, different coves and areas. So that's a whole lot of off-road places that people can get hurt and call for help. I really think that, again, if you put yourself up and look down upon Monmouth and the surrounding areas, it really is more than merited without question.
I think another thing, and it's in the write-up, but I don't think I shared it, was just the solar panel farms that are being added, you know, in town, and it's just more and more of them, and some of them, I think the one that's in the engineering process, the Dumont property, which is gonna be set inside of a woodlot, accessed by our, you know, a dirt road, our apparatus. I don't know if it's gonna make it roadworthy for our apparatus, we have weight limits. But as more and more of these solar fields go in, it increases, you know, the area that we may have to access for fire protection of these
Are they
fields.
required to make their roads to a certain standard?
They should.
I mean, is the planning board requiring them to make their roads to a certain standard?
Then come January, somebody plowed that and maintained it so we can get in there.
Right.
Kind of like going down camp roads in the wintertime, of course.
So is that part of the planning board's process for review of the solar ordinance? Do they provide access? Like, do they have to maintain access?
I've reviewed one plan and passed my desk. We did review fire road access to the property, but it was only to it, not around it.
Right.
Usually they're fenced in or some type of barrier, but I know the one up on Ridge Road.
There's a good road in there. But there's no way to get around that. I mean, the road goes in, it goes in through the fence.
Right.
So, kind of rule in solar fire business, the fire's inside the fence, your job is to keep it in there. The fire's outside is to keep it from going into the solar farm. How are you gonna do that with backpack pumps and, you know, 5 gallon hands on your back? You're just never gonna be able to stop a fire that's got a huge perimeter around something without some kind of mechanized piece of equipment that's readily available.
Other public comments? Other comments from, other questions?
I'm ready to vote
What would you
on
like to do?
approving it.
You'd like to make a motion? You
I'll
can
make a motion that we approve the request of the fire department for this equipment.
There you go.
From there, in terms of, I think I need to, what Reagan was saying in terms of what we committed to. I need to think about that.
As far as the budget.
Yeah,
So if that were the case, then you could make a motion to table it.
I would
and it
motion
would-
to table until we have next meeting more information.
And so a motion to table according to Robert's rules trumps a motion to support it. And it would basically stay on our table until we can get more information about what we spent last year, where we stand with the account balances. We do that once a year as part of the budget process. It'll stay on our table through the budget process. I mean, or unless we find out sooner and we want to move it.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask, is there a chance that you could get that information from Reagan for your next meeting, or do we have to wait for your actual, you know, budget process?
That's a great question.
No, we were going to look at how the budget went next meeting. I have the accountant working on that now and trying to give us more clarity, because you guys may remember that I complained to myself that the line items aren't quite as clear as I'd like them to be. So I'm working with her to streamline that, and hopefully we'll have a much clearer sense this year of what's been spent out of what category, so. That's the goal.
All right, so if the motion to table passes, then we would simply hold on to it. And we would certainly give you guys notice when we're gonna bring it up. So it would appear on an agenda. We'll let you know. Thank you, and thank you for doing this research and understand, I mean, I'm appreciative of the effort that goes into sort of figuring out like, what are all the mistakes that everyone else has made, and let's not make those when we invest in a big piece of equipment like this. This is important to get right. And it seems like we can learn from a lot of our surrounding communities. From, make sure that we get the best bang for our taxpayer dollar. All right, so we have a motion to table. Do I hear a second? Okay. He's gonna let go. Okay. All those in favor? All right,
Thank you for your time.
thank you. Thank you. All right,
You guys.
next up is item number 4 on, which is the funding request for Monmouth Beach Party.
Dan Boring.
This will be quick. Yes. Yes, so, real quick, I apologize, I am late on this, application. I understand that there's a was it 15 days or something? And, the reason why it was not turned in properly is one, this was gonna be our last year doing the beach party. I had gotten kind of, to the end and was kind of burnt out and just said, it's been a good run and we're gonna give it up. Then under popular demand by the public and others, even within my own department ranks, I graciously decided to still chair this committee and go forward with it and make next year, which will be our 10th annual, that much better. And so we're going to continue the beach party. So I didn't realize that we had put in for TIF reimbursements done every year since the inception of this committee and event, I should say. And I had another firefighter that was put in for it. It was Chris Fournier, captain now. And for whatever reason, it's probably my fault. I just did not put in for it this year because we didn't even fundraise this year. We actually utilized extra funds from last year to basically run this year's event. And so we didn't solicit money, but I felt with the expenses of the event and the increase in fireworks costs that went up substantially this year, that I would put in for it anyway. So I understand there's rules, there's deadlines, and I missed it. I apologize for that, and I certainly understand if you do not want to do it, that's understandable, but
Is this the same amount as was for
Same as last
year?
3,000.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Why does our form say maximum $1,000?
I don't know.
It was supposed to be changed, but
This is an old form and for whatever reason, it hasn't gotten taken off the website yet.
Yeah, you're using a form from 2014.
Yeah.
that was on the website,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Oops.
No, I-
Hear it for administrative excellence.
Well, I know the museum for Apple Fest was 2,500, so I know the 1,000 is old news, but it's what was readily accessible via the website. So yeah, that should be updated. Neither here nor there. The request is there, and it's up to you guys how you want to approve it.
Ready to vote for.
Did you just say no? No?
No, I don't have the questions. I just want to vote to approve this request.
That sounds like a motion.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I have a motion.
I second, yeah.
He's seconded the motion. Any discussion, any public comment on this?
I think the only thing that we've said is, we generally allow one past the deadline for each organization generally.
So this would be my one and only.
I mean, as much teeth as I have.
I appreciate that.
This is strike 2. Something.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Thank you.
The motion passes.
Yeah, Lord, that's the 10th annual next year. It'll be July 3rd on our Friday.
Oh, is it? You guys have already set the date?
Yes. July 4th is on a Saturday. Friday the third is, you know, typically
Have you figured out when the cardboard canoe race should happen then?
a recognized holiday. We're thinking later in the year. This being a Friday, no school day.
They're like what, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
Well, we usually do it at 3:30, but I was thinking late, 4:30.
You tell me, I'll make it work.
Yeah, it's like slightly later. Okay,
All right,
thanks for your time.
thank you.
Unless you need us for.
Good to see you.
Okay.
Item 5 is other business. Moving on to item 5.
The only thing, as we kind of talked about it with that group present, but I am working with Jessica Flanders. I met with her and was able to explain to her kind of, you know, how the municipal expenditures are laid out for us, you know, with that form that shows the description and the amount cap, and why it's important for us to know what's in each category. And there are a couple of categories on her budget sheet that are split into 2 different categories, but it's really the same line item for our sheet, for example. It's like, I think it's like facade improvement and streetscapes or something. That's 2 different categories on her sheet, but for our budgeting purposes, it's 1. So she's trying to rework all of that. And so, as I was saying, get us a really clear picture of what is in, what we have, what we've spent this year. And then also, as I was mentioning, because of the reval, and I'm going to talk to the assessor about this, our Route 202 TIF may now have an increment in it because the values of properties went up, even though it was kind of artificially in a sense. So all those lots on the route, in the Route 202 have an increased value. Now, how that relates to the mill rate, you know, it may or may not be a significant increase, but it's going to be some sort of increase.
So that's gonna start accumulating funds in that
Yeah.
particular. Refresh my memory on the acceptable expenditures from that pot of money.
It's very similar to this one. We put more money in for trails, economic development, administrative time. It's all the way that communities that have multiple TIF districts do this is, and as we tried to explain to, the fire department, is that if we can get parts of the funds from each TIF district, then it ends up being a whole, UTV, for example, you know what I mean? It's hard to pull it from one TIF district and justify a TIF district that is at maximum 2% of your acreage taking on the cost of a whole piece of equipment that is going to be used for the entire community. Does that make sense? So with more TIF districts, you take funds from different districts because it's spread out more and it passes the straight face test a little more.
So I did have a chance to talk to Justin about the Main Street TIF district, which is funded primarily, almost solely by the CMP substation. And there was a bit of scuttlebutt online, like, oh my God, CMP just got a tax break because of the revaluation. And Justin reassured me that that is not the case, that the contribution to the TIF district will be increasing marginally, a couple thousand, $3,000. So it'll go from $135,000 a year-ish to $38,000 a year or so, give or take. That was his sort of preliminary. He had a chance to talk to the appraiser about it, and that was their preliminary you know, estimate. We won't know that for sure until, later on in the year when we start to nail down our budget process. So, for those who might be listening online, you might want to, yet again, you might want to reconsider what you see on Facebook as factual, because it seems as though CMP is going to continue to pay its fair share, as it always has. Their dollar amount will be slightly more than what they've been paying in the past.
So that was never based on. So CMP's mill rate was never, or whatever CMP's obligation was never based on the mill rate and valuation of that property. Is that right?
So, it's based on our mill rate, for sure. In fact, the assessor will tell you that we are legally obligated to charge CMP exactly the same mill rate as every other taxpayer. Where things are a little different with CMP is the way that the property valuation is
So we're not
determined.
using KRTs, we're using somebody else.
Exactly. We're not using KRTs because we have an industrial evaluator expert that, you know, knows what the cost of a transformer is. For example, I'm making stuff up here, but there's some very specific equipment in the substation that requires an expert evaluation. And we've hired that person to do that for each of the last 4 or 5 years. And that is the valuation that we use along with the mill rate. So going forward, CMP will be paying a little bit more than what they paid in the past.
And can I just make another little point about what I was saying with the Route 202 TIF district having similar expenditures as the Main Street Omnibus? Another reason why that is good to have layers is because we all know that our Main Street Omnibus TIF district is 12, 14 years old, and will expire and, you know, when it hits 30 years. This one is now brand new. And so as the first TIF district expires, there won't be a cliff, you know, where those expenses are no longer covered. We have the second TIF district that will pick up the same costs and continue moving forward for the town. So that's another, it's the layering of the TIF district. So there's never a point where all of a sudden you don't have anything being funded by TIF anymore. So that's another reason that's important to
So
do.
for our next meeting, could you figure out with our assessor an approximation what the 202 TIF district is going to generate on an annual basis or is generating on an annual
Right,
basis?
should have started this year, yeah.
It starts with the July 1 of this year. So that is, I don't think that was that something that we budgeted for? I don't believe that was in the budget because it was still.
We budgeted that TIF district very modestly, and no, I think
No,
we
I
knew
don't.
that there was going to be, we knew that there was going to be a reval, but we didn't factor it into our increased value for that district. We just kind of said organically, this is going to,
Right.
you know, grow. There's nothing specific planned out there, but
That plan you gave us last time,
Mhm.
the two-sided paper,
that was just for Main Street.
okay, so it didn't include the,
No, that has, the 202 district has a very similar outline, but it's unique to it's specific to Route 202.
Yeah, I'm also, it's not a good, I would doubt that it would be a very big number. Let me,
We didn't, in terms of what we're getting for an increment this time or what we budgeted.
no, what we're getting for an increment
Yeah,
this time.
it might not be huge, but it's more than we were
Well, and simply the only reason my guess is that way is because residential properties had the greatest jump in value and commercial properties had the least proportionate jump. So what we're talking about is the revaluation of commercial properties on 202, and they've not appreciated as quickly as home prices. So
So is the same percentage going into that, Route 202 TIF?
What will go into it is the taxes on any new value that's realized out there, all of the new taxes for the properties on Route 202.
So it's not the same as the Main Street.
Right. We did that differently.
the Main Street is funded by the CMP substation.
But
And
what
it's-
is the percentage?
It's only 50% of the new taxes go into the TIF district and 50% goes into the general fund.
Right.
Yeah.
And the same is true for 202.
No,
No,
No, we did 100%.
100%. Okay.
no.
Okay, but it's still gonna be, it's not gonna be a huge number. It's gonna be something, but yeah. I think that's probably why we didn't even
When we were
consider it in the budget.
when we were creating it, whenever we did, Mike Rogers from, I don't know, you know him from, Main Revenue or something.
Mhm.
He had all these, spreadsheets and, showed, and had it arranged so that we were getting, the maximum, like, the maximum we could without, I don't know, I guess I can't explain it. Cause
It was the sweet spot.
it was, exactly, it was this, yes,
It was the sweet spot.
whatever that was, and whatever Mike Rogers
That was the
figured.
mantra of the day.
So you're talking about the different lifespans of each TIF. And we're talking about this budget. So over the life of the TIF, we can spend 400,000 just in the conversation we just had.
Up to, yes.
Up to. But that's based on the Main Street TIF.
Mhm.
You're saying it could be extended further because the 202 TIF?
What I'm saying is there's also a line item for firefighting equipment in the Route 202 TIF. But we don't have any value in that TIF district yet. I mean, we don't have any, nothing's
Nothing has been built, so
nothing's
there's
been
no.
built or created. So, but hopefully by the time this TIF district
Okay.
expires, this one will have,
I'm following now.
gained enough funds so that it can carry on with the economic development and a portion of Justin's salary and all of those other things that we pull out of this TIF district now. TIF account, sorry.
Other business. Wow, 35 minutes after we started, right? No, sorry.
No.
57 minutes after we started. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes, you do.
All those in favor?